Despite a strong start on launch, at least when it comes to sales or player counts, however we want to go ahead and assess that, it looks like all of the hubris, especially coming out of Randy Pitchford and Gearbox's inability to simply fix a game and make it run properly, has finally come around and bit them in the ass as Borderlands 4 loses 85% of its Steam player count 1 month after launch. And honestly, as we sit right now, as I'm recording this Thursday evening, it's even worse than that. You got 16,800 concurrent players, and 32,000, which is the number that is going to be used as a point of comparison, in on and around, I think it's like 31 or something like that. Obviously, 85%, you can just run the quick math on that one, but there's been quite a lot of cope that I've seen, especially throughout the entire life cycle of this game. But the most pathetic stuff I've seen right now is, oh, that's normal for games, bro. It's like, oh yeah, you should expect to drop off after the first month. It's like, for a game like this, a looter shooter with multiple dungeons, with multiple character classes, an infinite amount of guns and customization, it's a game that is designed to keep you within its ecosystem for months. So no, that's not the same as like a single player story-based game that everybody comes around, they play once, they might come back to later in the year. No, this is, well, it's just terrible, and even Gearbox knows it, but we'll get into that reason in a bit. But yes, Borderlands 4 launch was huge on Steam, but just 1 month later, that number has dropped by 85%. It has been officially over a month since the launch of Borderlands 4, rather, a highly anticipated installment, in Gearbox's hit franchise, released on September 12th. The game pulled massive launch numbers and a ton of hype from longtime fans and newcomers alike, making it the biggest Steam launch for the series to date. It was clear fans were ready to jump back into the looter shooter chaos, especially with Gearbox promising tons of post-launch content. Sure, yes, especially with Gearbox promising tons of post-launch content. Gearbox even teased the first bite-sized yet flavorful paid DLC called Bounty Pack, How Rush Saved Mercenary Day, set to release November 20th. Okay, that also sounds like content that probably could have been in the game, but you decided to piece it off and sell it as extra content. But whatever, man, to each their own, I suppose. But just a month later, things look very different on Steam. Player count has been sliding steadily since launch, showing a sharp decline from its all-time high. Yeah, because it fell off pretty quickly, actually. According to the live data from SteamDB, the game post found that Borderlands 4 peak player count had dropped over 85% since launch. The game hit an incredible 304,398 concurrent players during its launch weekend, a day one peak of 201,273 players. Fast forward to mid-October, and the 24-hour peak was sitting at 44,394. And yeah, that's 10,000 more than what we have right here on a Thursday, and albeit, like Wednesday and Thursday, not exactly the biggest gaming days, but with around 33,000 players online right now. Yeah, and about half of that going in the evening. Not great. That's still a decent number by most standards, but compared to where it started, the drop-off is hard to ignore. And yeah, given the fact that, well, we can just go ahead and run the numbers here real quick and just see if anybody's, if this is just merely a little bit of a lull, but it's been pretty strong, right? Because yeah, you run it all the way back from the beginning, and then even after its first week, it had already lost like half of its audience. And it's just been on a steady decline outside of weekends where it just simply plateaus throughout the entire month. So yeah, it's not gaining any momentum at all. That is far more indicative than the amount of people that play it off rip. It's how many people are sticking around. Spoiler, not many. But yeah, so that's an 85% drop from launch to now, using the numbers that Game Post is using. A number that sounds dramatic, but in reality is pretty standard for most live service looter shooter titles. Oh really? How long was Marvel Rivals on top? About PUBG being the most played game on Steam right now. There's a little game called Fortnite that continues to be popular, just about going 10 years on. So yeah, of lesser titles, ones that don't have big franchise appeal, I'm sure that that's the case. But you can probably point to more games to justify that position. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League also comes to mind, but then again, that didn't really start all that high to begin with. But for a game that was supposed to hit, you were supposed to buy, despite its a terrible performance, you should have been happy if they wanted to charge $80 in order to buy it. Well, if you're a real fan of the franchise. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking the people that, bought it on the first day or over the first weekend to try it out probably felt a little bit robbed because it was running like wet ass, and maybe they thought, when there's a couple of patches that are out, I might come back to it. We'll check it out at that point in time. But even still, not the case at all, because yeah, I've done multiple videos on the stupid shit that Randy Pitchford has said, but one of his more recent blithering statements, Borderlands 4 boss Randy Pitchford tells players to stop being 4K stubborn, says it looks amazing at 1440p and that the trade-off for frames isn't worth it. Like, dude, if you got high-end hardware that you can run and that you set your entire rig up to play in 4K, that's what you're aiming for. But you're out there telling them, oh yeah, no, it runs fine, it looks great at 1440. I don't know why you're so mad about that. It's like you put out a subpar product and yet you continue to try to rationalize its failures. Like, this is pathetic. It's why 85% of your audience fucked off. But yes, even Destiny 2, one of the biggest games in the genre, has faced similar issues lately. Yeah, that was a game that first launched like a decade ago. Okay, so while the dip might seem alarming, it doesn't necessarily mean Borderlands 4 is in trouble. In fact, holding nearly 50,000 active players a month after launch is still pretty impressive. No, it's like just barely over 30,000, but okay, I guess 30 is closer to 50 than it is to 0, but okay. Part of what's fueling the drop, though, does come down to endgame depth. Yes, a lot of players on Reddit and other social platforms say that while Borderlands 4 core gameplay feels great, the endgame doesn't feel as varied. So I guess that's probably, what the DLC is supposed to help bolster. But if you get people to run through the story and then there's shit all at the end of it, why the fuck are they going to be coming back? And so Gearbox thinks that, instead of trying to fix the game, we'll just, drop the price. And so for a game that Pitchford also said, oh, it's like worth over $100, now you put it on sale a little over a month after release? Interesting. We've seen another game follow this trajectory as well. What was it called? Dragon Age: The Veilguard, right? Oh, interesting. But yes, Borderlands 4 is on sale after a month, as it trails Borderlands 3. Ooh, that's even worse, actually. Because if you're selling worse than the game that put the franchise on pause for years, how well does that speak to the quality of the game? As of this week, Borderlands 4 is on sale on Steam, in many regions down 20%, down from 70 to 56. And yeah, we can just go ahead and take a look at the Steam DB numbers right here. And well, it's on sale 20% off in Canada, $72. You can go fuck yourself on that one. But yeah, everywhere, just about everywhere, well, everywhere that it's available to purchase on Steam, has a 20% discount on it. And that runs until the 20th or something like that. They'll obviously get into this, but yes, players have noted that the game, that this is just a month after launch, and it seems to contradict something Gearbox head Randy Pitchford said about Borderlands 4 not going on sale for a long time. What's going on? Oh, the game's selling like ass. As all would seem to reinforce to some degree the idea that Borderlands 4 is underperforming Borderlands 3. We have the data before this that said Borderlands 3 sold 5 million copies in 5 days. This was while being an Epic Game Store PC exclusive. Oof. Borderlands 4 had 2.5 million players across all platforms, including Steam, in its first week. Interesting. The budget for Borderlands 4 is more than double that of Borderlands 3. Oh, shit. According to Pitchford himself. That was back when he was criticized for implying the game might cost $80. It ended up costing $70. He said the Borderlands 4 has more than twice the development budget than Borderlands 3. More than twice. Ooh, shit. So yeah, that may put it somewhere in on and around $300 million. Now, the point is that Borderlands 4 has a steep hill to climb, and perhaps a significant one. Yeah, honestly, Assassin's Creed Shadows, that's probably the more apt comparison to make out here, because yeah, that was a game that Shadows we're talking about here that cost $300 to $350 million. We've never got a confirmed number out of Ubisoft, but given the house cleaning that Tencent has recently made, getting rid of the Assassin's Creed boss, I mean, are we looking at a point in time, because well, it's Take-Two Interactive after all, unless they want to try to hide the failure of Borderlands 4 by releasing, GTA 6 next year. I mean, that's possible, but I think what's far more likely is that Borderlands 4, even the attempt to snag a quick buck out of people to try to get them into the game before all of the new DLC comes out and releases that otherwise underperforms, because DLC for Borderlands, at least in its franchise history, some of it has been tremendous, a lot of it has been garbage. And so they are definitely playing with fire this time around. And a lot of it is brought to you by Gearbox themselves, and especially Randy Pitchford not knowing when to shut his fucking yap. Borderlands 4 is a failure. Who could have possibly seen this coming? So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.